initialize it, just like we do with everything else. I just initialize it. Right. Now, what does do? Right? Yeah, that was a really tricky question, but you got it right. So it joins this. So there is another built-in function called len. So len of A gives me the size of the list. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to append another 10, and len of A becomes 6. That's because now A is now. So lists in Python are of arbitrary length, dynamically increasing, decreasing, or whatever. So if you want to, okay, let's see. For the computer science students out there, what does a.pop do? Into 10. And now we have just removed the last 10 from it. Right? So obviously, append and a.pop are not the only functions in the type list. Lots of functions in type list. So this is the only thing. Okay, one of the very few things which I want you guys to take away from this class or lecture or session or whatever you want to call it. So there's this built-in function which I'm going to demonstrate, which is going to help you each and every day whenever you're going to use Python. It's called dir. It says dir is a built-in function dir. When I do dir of A, it gives me a bunch of stuff. So if you look closely, you can see pop here and append there. What does that do? So you're telling me that dir is a list of all the functions that can be performed on it. You're right. So, and anyway, all you can see are functions here, so I cannot tell you that you are missing out on something. But because, as I told you, everything and anything in Python is a class. It's an object, right? So your basic object-oriented programming says that object has x and y. All objects have functions and methods and so all objects have state and methods, or values and methods, right? If you don't have methods, it's just a struct. Right? Structs have values. So essentially, it has variables and functions in it. So if I do dir and give an object to it, it will tell me what all functions are there. It will tell me the names of all the variables which are inside that object. So going into object orientation aspects of Python doesn't seem fit for this lecture. Maybe if we have another session, we can continue from there with that talk. So that is really important because you don't have to go look into books and libraries and internet and ask your teachers and whatnot to figure out what other stuff you can do with an object. You have it all here. So interpreter will let you know what all stuff you have in it. So when I tell you that there is something called a complex type, you can just go and dir the type and figure out what all stuff are there. And in most cases, these are self-explanatory, right? So what would a.reverse do? Right? So this is in place reverse. Right? So we experiment, we find out. There are places we can't experiment because, what if a.reverse takes some random list of arguments? How would we know? So again, the next thing which I want you guys to memorize, to take home, is this. Help A dot Python which you have installed, which will be running every time you write a Python program, has documentation built into it. So every function in Python has documentation, and it is built into the binary of that function. So on runtime, you can just call help a.reverse, and you can get the help, all the help you want. So typing Q gets you out of it. I'll show you something more, a little bit more complex. Help a dot sort. So L dot sort, CMP equal to none, K equal to none, reverse equal to false. Stable sort in place, CMP x y gives -1 0 1. Little bit cryptic, but for a guy with 1 week experience in Python, not cryptic at all. Can someone venture a guess? Okay, L dot sort sorts L. Very obvious. What is the CMP thing? Compare what? So what would you pass if you want to use the CMP numbers?
Some different style to compare.
Right. So essentially what it's telling me that CMP x comma y is a function which gives the value of -1 if x less than y. It's obvious. -1, 0 and 1. X equal to y, it gives the return value of 0. Greater than y, it gives the return value of 1, and then you can just pass that function into the sort. So I'm going to demonstrate it. So in demonstrating that, you can also get a hang of how you define functions, right? So and then you can go on and learn how there are different ways of defining functions. So let's just try to do that. What is A right now? Okay. So A is 10, 3, 4, 2, 1, and if I sort right now, it will get sorted. So what I'm going to do is try to figure out a way how to reverse the sort. There's an easier way, but then I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to define a function. This is how you define a function. Def function name. So I'll write compare, and then okay. How do you define a function in C? Now what do I write? Parameters. We generally used to write int a and float b, but that was in the old days. In the new high-tech Python, we just write a comma b. So let me just write x comma y to be, right? So now what? Excellent. Tab, obviously. So I'm going to write if x is less than y, you should be returning -1 in the general sorting thing. So I'm going to try and reverse it. So let's just return 1. Sorry. Return 1 if x equal to y, and I'm going to return 0, and I can simply write else return -1. Seems right or wrong, Sorry? Oh, did I write B? Okay. Okay, I got to do it all over again. I'm sorry. Why did I go and write G? Okay. If x less than y, return 1. Why did I return 1? Return 1 if x equal to y, return 0, and if x is else return -1. Okay? So let's just try whether this thing works or not. I'm going to do compare 1, 2. It gives me 1. So if 1 is less than 2, it should be giving me 1. Alright. specific one. Just to be double sure, 1, comma 1 gives me 0. So now what I'm going to do is, I'll just take a look at help a dot sort. So it's list dot sort and cmp equal to something. So I'm going to write a dot sort cmp equal to our function cmp, and what happens to it? Gets sorted in the reverse order. If I didn't have cmp equal to this, it gets sorted in the forward order. It's that easy. So as I told you, everything and anything in Python are objects. So that includes functions. So you just pass around functions if you like. You can even go and do dir of cmp. You'll get all the attributes of the function cmp. Okay. Right. So that's pretty much about it, right? This is your basic Python 101. You get all the information you want about Python. Now you know how to go about and introspect Python. Just with your interpreter, you can go about and learn new things about Python and new objects. So I'll leave you with an exercise, and okay, I'll show you something else, something which I think is very cool. A equal to hello, right? Right? String manipulations, really easy. Okay, so strings are a little bit like lists. Little bit because I'm saying little bit because in C kind of world you don't have a string, right? You have an array of char, right? So you can essentially go and modify stuff. So I can do some stuff like a of 0 is h, a of 1 is e. Just the way I can do the same thing with lists. I encourage you to tinker around, but I can do this. A of 1 equal to something else. It says a string object does not support item assignment. So it's what we call, there is something called immutability in strings in other languages as well. You're not going to miss mutating strings anyways, because you can do this. Something really cool, okay, we'll get back to is a list now. What, okay, is this, right? What is a of 0? Right? What is a of 10? It says list in the sort of range. Again, range checking, what you want to call it. So if you want to get 9 as this thing 9, you rate a of 9. Okay. A of 2. This is very, okay, I expect an answer for this. What is A of 2? Right? What is A of minus 2? 8. Reverse indexing. Very useful. Okay, can someone tell me what I'll get for column 6? What might I get?
0, 1, 2,